Hi everyone, and welcome aboard the Tuckerton Seaport's Pohat 2. This boat is also the Ocean First Foundation Floating Classroom, which is a non-traditional classroom that explores New Jersey's coastal culture. While traveling down the Tuckerton Creek, we will be exploring three large themes: folk art, history, and the environment en route. To start off with some history, this boat is named after the original Pohat, a steam-powered boat in the early 1900s, which was the last leg connecting the Tuckerton Railroad to LBI. People used to visit the beach for other reasons than swimming in the ocean. Recreational swimming was not made popular until the 1920s. It was believed that going to the beach had its own medicinal qualities by relaxing, enjoying the fresh air, and exercising on the beach. The name Pohat is a Lenape word for stream between split hills. The Lenape were the first people to live in this area before the colonists showed up. We are on the Tuckerton Creek right now. If you continue down the creek, you will end up in the Barnegat Bay. Technically, north of LBI Bridge is the Barnegat Bay, and south is the Manahawkin Bay. And where we would enter at the end of the creek is Little Egg Harbor Bay. Folk life is everyday experiences, stories, life, and values of a community. There are so many forms of folk life that we find everywhere. In this region, some aspects of folk life for baymen included duck hunting, decoy making, boat building, but also songs and storytelling. It is hard to define folk life as one thing or definition because it relates to so many forms of life. Folk art is just one aspect of folk life. Folk artists are artists who are not classically trained. They are resourceful and use materials and skills that they have. Some local folk arts include blacksmithing, decoy carving, woodworking, boat building, basket weaving, folk music, glassmaking, welding, and many more. Folk artists have always been inspired by the natural world and their environment. A lot of folk art is utilitarian, which means it wasn't made to be hung in a museum, but to be used by people. Folk artists have a huge role in impacting regional history. One way involves toolmaking, which was a common art and improved the quality of work and life for people in the region. Local stories you may learn about at the seaport can help us understand larger national histories by giving perspective into time periods such as the American Revolution, Industrial Revolution, suffrage, and even life today. The history of this region is all about the relationship of communities and the environment. Living near the water has a huge impact on what resources and jobs are available to people. This relationship between community and environment has three main parts. First, the way we use the environment, such as the resources we get from it. Second, the way we affect the environment, such as building or migration in an area. And third, the way the environment might affect us, such as when a natural disaster happens. On this tour, we will be immersed in the environment, which is key to understanding history and how the baymen lived and worked in this region. Tuckerton Creek, which is the body of water that runs through the seaport, connects four habitats: the pinelands, the marshes of the estuary, the barrier islands of the bay, and also the ocean. The Pinelands is an area that stretches over 7 counties in New Jersey. This area is almost as big as the Grand Canyon. This tour also brings the value of keeping endangered species safe, as well as other environmental issues to mind, such as habitat loss and invasive species. Seeing these animals and their habitats makes it easy to see how they are all interconnected, and when one species is in danger, all others will be affected. You may notice a lot of ducks crossing our path, as well as some decoys. One huge aspect of folk art is the Barnegat Bay decoy. It is a great example to show how art, history, and the environment are connected. Decoys are wooden ducks used as tools to improve the chances of hunters. They attract real ducks closer to where the hunter is. Hunting meant a source of food and income for baymen and their families. Over time, decoys have developed into an art and are collected by many for decoration, but some are still made and used for hunting. The art of decoys has developed from being very simple and utilitarian. Now, artists paint details on them with oil paint. It's a workboat used for oystering, clamming, and fishing. The sneak box is used for duck hunting mostly. Boat builders needed to know their environment well before designing a boat for it. These boats both have flat bottoms to navigate the shallow Barnegat Bay easily. The abundance of lumber in South Jersey allowed for 1/3 of all ships along the coast to be built here in the 19th century. Without these certain aspects of the environment, boat building would look a lot different in this region. This wraps up our virtual version of the Tuckerton Seaport's Pohat Kong 2. I hope you learned a little more about art, history, and the environment. We hope that you come and visit the seaport when it is safe, so you can be immersed in the environment and learn even more. A special thank you to the Ocean First Foundation for being a part of the community and for making this floating classroom possible. Thank you for watching and stay safe.